As this show airs, it's home opening day for the Guardians. Over the weekend, got some news. Shane Bieber will need Tommy John surgery, lost for the year. Obviously, a huge blow. Was pitching really well.
Yeah, what a gut punch. You know, those first 8 games, you start 6-2, you annihilate Oakland, you have your way with the Mariners, and then you start that Minnesota series with a strong win as well. And Bieber was a big part of that, you know. And in so many of the conversations we've had about the Guardians, I actually have a burger bet with Daryl Ryder, who I know is going to be on your show at some point. Daryl and I have a burger bet because I believe this team is going to win 83 or more games. I think this team, I don't think this team is very much different from the team that won 92 games in the Central and had, the Yankees on the ropes in the second round of the playoffs 2 years ago. So I'm very bullish on this team, but in every construction of, all right, they got to do this, a big reason is, okay, can Shane be healthy? And, in a way, last year, his injury, McKenzie getting hurt, Quantrill getting hurt, that started the unraveling. Everybody put it on the offense last year, but no, it was you had to replace guys who could go 7 or 8 innings most nights with guys who could go 4 or 5 innings. And that taxed the bullpen. And so the rookies did a good job. Gavin Williams and Logan Allen and Tanner Bybee did a good job, but they did a good job at a smaller rate, and they weren't pitching the same kind of innings. So all of a sudden your bullpen falls apart. And then there's more pressure on the offense, and then it becomes this Ouroboros of pressure, and it just fell apart. And they were still a 500 team until they made those deadline deals to trade Savale and Josh Bell. I'm not convinced that'll happen this year, the falling apart. I'm not. But what this does is, I just believe in the value of an ace. And there is the ace that we talk about when it comes to this guy's going to go out there, win 20 games, strike out 250 people, give you 200 innings, all that. And that's great. Win a Cy Young. Shane's done that. That's great. Invaluable. And the other half of the ace is something we've seen with guys like Corey Kluber. We saw it with CeCe back in the day. We saw it with Kevin Millwood the 1 year here, where there's a guy that's your number one starter that sets the tone for everyone else. So that's my concern with Bieber, is now you've got to find, and I love that Cookie Carrasco's here. I know a lot of people think he's washed, but he's a guy that's familiar. He's a veteran. He can help a young pitching staff and a young rotation. So it's a big hit, but I'm telling you, it didn't take too much for people to want to count out the Guardians this year, and that's because going into the season, there wasn't a lot of faith that this team could do something. I hope they prove everybody wrong, because I personally think they still have enough. Yeah, you're going to need, you might have to find another starter. Yeah, all of a sudden the bullpen might have to be a little more important. Well, now it's year 2 of Gavin. Now it's year 2 of Tanner. Now it's year 2. If they lose McKenzie, it becomes a real problem. If they lose, if Cookie gets hurt, or if Gavin Williams' injury keeps him out longer, then the numbers start to become a lot more difficult to make work. But lost in all this, they got a very competitive team, and I like the way they're competing right now. And so it'll be interesting to see how, over the next couple weeks, how they handle the loss of Bieber in that locker room, because a good team just keeps on moving. And we saw that in 2022 with this same team.
Yeah, the challenge now is those 3 young guys in their second year, they got to grow up pretty quickly. There can't be any, I got to adjust because the league's adjusted to me. You're now counting on Logan Allen and Gavin Williams and Tanner Bybee to be as good as they were in their rookie years.
Well, and, I think what's interesting is, I think Gavin, so it's so tough because it's like choosing between my kids. I got 3 kids, and at any given moment, I probably get along better with one than the other, but I love them all the same, and I feel that way about the Guardians pitchers. I look at Gavin, though, and I see a future ace, both from a stuff perspective and kind of the way he carries himself. That being said, Bybee's first couple starts, that Minnesota game, he didn't have his best stuff. And, if you look at the box score, you think, oh, what a hell of a performance. You watch the game, you think it's even better a performance because he just battled. And that's another ace-like quality. Like I said, there's about 5 different ways to define an ace. And so now I'm watching Tanner, and I'm like, oh, so you're telling me he's going out there and giving you 2 really nice starts on 2 days where he's not quite where he needs to be? Oh, I like that. So Logan's the one guy I don't know. He's a nice pitcher. I'm not saying he's not. But, like, I can see Gavin being a strong one. I can kind of see Tanner Bybee being like a Cliff Lee from the right side, a guy who on most staffs would be a 1, and now he's like a 1B. Logan, he's kind of a wild card. I love that he's a lefty. I love his kind of the pitchability. But the good news is this organization, when it comes to bats, it's still a little murky. When it comes to arms, I think they know how to not put too much pressure on them. And I thought, this is kind of the first challenge of Stephen Vogt as a manager to say, all right, do you go on a 2-game schneid now? Do these guys react to this? Or do you go on a 5, do you keep one in, do you keep playing 750 baseball? And, whereas with Tito, we just got to a point where it was trust in Tito. Now it's going to be, all right, gain my trust, Stephen. So I think the arms can do it. You just got to stay healthy. As we've seen with Stix McKenzie, you just got to stay healthy. But the good news is, from a stuff perspective, I have no reason to believe each one of these guys can't take a nice step forward as the league adjusts to them. And then, of course, the league will adjust again. And then you'll have, that is the kind of playing catch that happens in baseball, the catch-up game.